Then an angel wrapped in skin, throw dice and woes of life. Love deprived, looking to revive. What's the meaning of life? One subjective paradise. Crystal chandeliers, motives reflected. Often mirrors appear, clear, grinning from ear to ear. Craving and raving and grain, rekindle the flame. Closer she draws near. Stay there, remove your underwear, shove it somewhere over there. In paradise, we know our purpose. In paradise, we know what our worth is. In paradise,
Hello, everybody. Hey, jamming to my son. Orion, the third song in Paradise. Really like that song a lot. Welcome to the Unpopular Hour. I'm your host, Matt Clark. Sorry for the delay. We normally been on earlier, but had to take the baby girl to the vet today to take care of her. Had to do that checkup thing. Anyway, what a weekend of football, basketball too, but football. I mean, all these games lived up to their billing. Um, we're gonna start out with the Rams against the Bucks. By the way, I did pick the winner, and then I picked the Rams simply because Tom Brady was beat up on offense with his offensive lineman, and the Rams defense was just crazy. So I had picked the Rams in that, and what a game it was. Brady was getting killed. His passer rating was terrible. And we all know it doesn't matter what quarterback it is. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was the same way. When you're running for your life, your offensive line can't protect you. Being a quarterback is not necessarily the greatest position in the world at that point. Um, but thanks to, down 27-3, he came back and probably been his greatest comeback because the Rams let him back in. First of all, Eric Cam, you can't fumble the ball on the 1 yard line after Tom Brady throws an interception, gives you the ball on basically the 30-yard line. You've got to go score. You can't give up that fumble. Okay, that was a huge play right there. Then after the fumble recovery, Cooper Kupp turns the ball over right back again, fumbling the ball. Clearly the best wide receiver this year. Not the best wide receiver in the NFL, but this year his stats prove that he was the best NFL wide receiver this year because he led the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Did the trifecta. So definitely he was the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. Not the best in the NFL, but this year, yes, he was statistically wise. Anyway, so that allows Tom Brady, and I don't care. We talk about this the same time we talk about the Thunder and after the storm. Uh, Once a team gets in a rhythm and they start rolling, I don't care who you are. There's just not, it doesn't matter in sports. There's absolutely nothing you can do with that. When a team starts rolling, you're in trouble. It is what it is. I mean, it doesn't matter. Basketball, football, baseball, it doesn't matter. Once a team starts rolling, they start rolling, and there's just not a lot you can do to stop that. Uh, but anyway, what a great game. And of course, the Rams came back and, all out blitz. Now, if you're going to do an all out blitz, that's your Frazier, make sure your whole defense knows what they're doing. Because clearly you had some guys coming, some guys weren't. Winfield, you cannot let a guy run by you. Okay? You can't let that happen. You can't let a guy just run by you. All right? That is just unacceptable that he did that. And Winfield is, one of the best cornerbacks or safeties in the NFL, and so I still don't know how he allowed him to get behind him, but he did. So anyway, that's something you couldn't do. But what a great game! And then Gay, of course, former Tampa Bay kicker, comes back and beats Tampa Bay. So I'm sure there was some sort of benefit that he had in that, and a little redemption, the fact that they got. So anyway, now the other game, 49ers versus Green Bay. I picked Aaron Rodgers at home. Uh, and I thought they'd get it done. He did not. One of his worst games of the year, except for game one, which was clearly his worst game. But he had him back. And, Aaron Rodgers is, the arrogant ass that he is, being smarter than everybody, treating everybody like trash. Well, it came back to haunt you, And, 49ers had to answer that front line, that front four they got. That's a monster. They are monsters. They really are. But for you to allow Jimmy G to beat you, I don't really know what to say about that, but when we go back and we look at him, he's 10-11 in the playoffs, and this is the second year in a row you've been the number one seed, and you've lost at home. Last year you lost to Tampa Bay at home, which you still don't know how. I still to this day don't know how you don't run the ball in the end zone. Every time I go back and look at that play or I see replays or highlights of that play, the corner of the end zone is wide open. Now, unless you think somebody's going to catch you from behind, a lineman's going to catch you from behind, defensive end, which shouldn't happen. I mean, I would think you're faster than that. I still don't know why you ran it, but because of I do know, because you're better than everyone else in your mind, and you are really the best, probably pure passer in the league because your touchdown to interception ratio is just absolutely ridiculous. So, but still, you gotta run that in. I don't know how you don't do that, but who am I to second guess a guy who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? You do what you do, but what I saw and what he saw were two different things. But of course, I don't have 6'5", 270-pound guys and 300-pound guys chasing me, so I don't. I may have made a different decision. Who knows? But being a scaredy cat like me, I probably just ran the ball. But anyway, that was an L for me because I did pick Green Bay and picked Aaron Rodgers over Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was obviously a mistake. And the 49ers did go to Green Bay. So they went to Dallas and beat the Cowboys. Then they went to Green Bay and beat Green Bay. And the defense played magnificent both games. So I still don't get that. So we're going to have the Rams and the 49ers again. And I remember correctly, I believe the 49ers beat the Rams twice this year. So it's kind of hard to beat a team 3 times. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in that particular game. Now, the Bengals and the Titans. If your quarterback gets sacked 9 times and you still win the game, I don't know what to say about that. He got sacked 9 times and he still won. Why? Oh, he's playing Ryan Tannehill because remember, I picked the Chiefs to win, Titans to win, and then I picked Mahomes over Tannehill because I figured Tannehill's going to do Tannehill things and find some way to choke off the game, which is what he did. Threw a pick at the 30 whatever seconds was, boom, drive down, get in field goal range, bam, game over, you lose at home. But anyway, the Bengals, there's no way they should have won that ball game. Joe Burrow's over talking about we're tired of being the underdogs. Well, let me see. You weren't an underdog at home against the Raiders. I think you pretty much had the advantage there. You should have won that. But yeah, you're going to be an underdog playing against the number 1 seed, and you barely got into the playoffs. Yeah, you're going to be the underdog. And now you're playing the number 2 seed, Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL, in Arrowhead, the best home field in the NFL. So, yeah, you're an underdog, bruh. Now, what does that mean? That means you're going to have to make plays. That means you're going to have to do things. That's what that means. You're going to have to make plays, which y'all have done. But the problem is y'all beat the Chiefs 4 weeks ago. That's the problem. Y'all beat the Chiefs. Now, you were at home, and it took the referee on 4th down because you had 4th down to go. Didn't get the job done, and you got a holding call, or actually a hand to the face in the end zone, which allowed y'all to have 4 more downs and be able to down the ball and kick the field goal to win the game. That's what happened. Okay? And it's just like, but the bottom line is you gave Chiefs an L. That's ultimately what it comes down to. You did win the ball game, but let's go. You're 4th and you have 1st down, go to go. Don't get it done. If it's not be a penalty, Patrick Mahomes has 30-something or 45 seconds or whatever it was to drive down the field. And we all know what he did last night. So you give him 2 timeouts in 40 seconds, pretty sure he's going to get the Chiefs in field goal range to win that ball game. But, you need to thank the officials because if it wasn't for the officials making that call, you wouldn't even be in the playoffs. So that gave you the champions. You got a home field advantage. You beat the Raiders. That gives you another advantage. Then you go and really the Titans gave you the ball game. But it doesn't matter. An L is an L and a W is a W. Now for me, I lost. That's another L for me because I picked the Rams to win, the 49ers to lose, and y'all to lose. And the Rams did win, the 49ers won, and you guys won. So all of a sudden, I'm 1 and 2 in my picks. But like I said, I don't really gamble. And by the way, this weekend or this Friday, I'm gonna have my guy Drew on for him to give him some so we can explain these minuses and pluses and why one team has why it's -2 versus -5 or why it's whatever. And like I had said, -5 was a lot of points that I said at Green Bay. I said -5 was a lot of points. And I thought that was too many and get it done. But anyway, the Bengals got the Titans. Once again, Tannehill, you know, I don't know. But like I said last Friday on the live stream, I didn't know how it was going to be bringing Derrick Henry back because he hadn't played, and you had chemistry, and you'd been rolling, and now you bring him back, and so you kind of got out of the chemistry. It's kind of like when an NBA player's been out. Remember when Jordan came back for the Bulls and against Orlando? Or in the playoffs, and it kind of messed up their chemistry, and the Bulls couldn't get it done, and they got beat. Now, Nick Anderson shouldn't have said what he said and pissed him off because then he went off on him and just absolutely destroyed him the next time they played. So, but, that's a whole nother story in itself. But anyway, Bengals and Titans, what a good game. Now, the crazy part is all three of these games were won by the visiting team. All three of these games were won on last-second field goals to end the games. So what did we expect from the Bills and the Chiefs? Arguably the two best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's definitely in the AFC. Went head-to-head in one of the best football games I have ever seen. One of the best sporting events I've ever seen. I've never seen two teams just go at it back and forth. It was like the Muhammad Ali-Joe Frazier fight, number one, which most of you all have no clue what I'm talking about. It's probably on YouTube or something that you could probably go watch. But that arguably was one of the greatest fights I'd ever seen between those two. And plus everything surrounding the fight and how Ali had been banned because he would not go to Vietnam in the draft because of religious convictions and, all the stuff that went on with that. So that was a whole nother ball game, a whole nother interesting thing with that. So, but anyway, that was one of the greatest fights that I had ever seen. Also, the Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns fight, Hearns Hagler. But anyway, it's great boxing, great deals back in the day. But the Bills and Chiefs, wow. I mean, absolutely wow. I don't think two quarterbacks could have played any better than what they did. And I think Josh Allen had a little bit better of a passer rating than Mahomes. And then I heard one idiot talk about how Josh Allen's better than Mahomes. Shut up. Shut up. He's not better than Mahomes. Okay? He's just not, but I understand. That's why I'm so glad that I'm not, working for ESPN or Fox, wherever, where, okay, this is your side. This is your side. You got to take them. No, just tell the truth. You ain't got to pick a side. But I understand for TV purposes, you have to pick a side. You have to go, I'm for this team, or I'm for this team, or I'm for this player, I'm for this player. I just got to tell the truth. I don't have to sugarcoat it. I mean, it is what it is. And most of you all know that Josh Allen is amazing talent, but he ain't Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you think about what this guy's doing. They're the first team ever to host 4 straight AFC championships. They had never won 2 in a row, or had never hosted any before Patrick Mahomes got there. And now they've done 4 in a row. Every year he's been the leading the team as a quarterback. They've won 4 in a row. Now Tom Brady's outrageous with 9 straight conference appearances, but he didn't have 4 in a row at home. He went on the road, and let's face it. Remember, I think the last one that he won, he beat Green Bay, but before that, he had only won 1, I believe, or 2 on the road to even get to the Super Bowl. So his other Super Bowls were all based going through New England, which is basically what the Chiefs are trying to do, to have the same recipe as the New England Patriots did. We play at home. You've got to come here. The home field advantage New England had, it was cold as a mother during that time of year. The fans were there. They were rabid. They were going crazy. You had to pray to them there. The defense was outstanding. They were ridiculous. They were one of the top teams. So you had to go there and beat them, which was a huge task in itself. So when you do look at that, you're just kind of going, wow, seriously? And that's basically what happened. And that's what the Chiefs are trying to duplicate in Kansas City right now. They're trying to make it to where you have to run through Kansas City. And it's so funny what Oh, what the Titans did, they're so worried about their fans not coming. They tried to keep the Bengals from coming. Well, it didn't do any good. You choked and lost it anyway. Now the Rams are trying to set up a deal where people only in their county can buy tickets, and so whatever. So all the 49er fans won't have tickets. Chiefs don't have that problem. They said, look, we playing at home. This is how we do it. The people who live in the county have first rights because it's Johnson County is where the stadium is. So you guys have the first. Second deal is season ticket holders. Then they open up for the public. Chiefs ain't worried about nobody coming in the Chiefs Stadium and you seeing more of that color than you see red. I can promise you, you're not going to see more orange than you're going to see red. I promise you, no matter what, that's not going to happen at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs travel well, and they also defend well with their fans. So you're not going to see that. So I just think that's hilarious. And their president addressed that, just kind of laughed like, yeah, no, we're not doing that because they don't have to. But anyway, back and forth. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I mean, it's unreal how great these two guys played. And, you can make excuses or you can say things simply because the Honey Badger wasn't there. And let's face it, there was a lot of miscues in the back part of that secondary simply because Tyrann Mathieu wasn't back there directing everybody and telling everybody to go. You could see him kind of being confused. Where are you? Who and Josh Allen exploited that with ease. They looked terrible. The Chiefs come down and score a touchdown to go ahead with 1 minute and 13 seconds. Josh Allen goes right back down the field in 1 minute and scores and leaves Patrick Mahomes 30 seconds. And then there's this BS about whether he should pooch kick or whether he should kick it in the end zone. Well, if you pooch kick it and it goes terribly wrong, the Chiefs fall on it, the thing stops right then. So what does that do? Now you gave the Chiefs the ball at the 40-yard line. With 10, or let's say it was 10 seconds instead of 13. Okay. They have 3 timeouts. And the ball at the 40, he's only got to go get 20 yards now. You think he ain't going to get 20 yards in 10 seconds or 11 seconds? Of course he is. Why? Because the Chiefs, you could see, unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who had 1 more second on the clock than the Chiefs they didn't have timeouts now, granted. But you can see that the way that the Chiefs did it, they go, okay, you can see where they run their offense, this is what we do. Boom, 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 boom. You could tell they run it. You could tell they work on it. When the linemen, you saw Creed Humphrey and Wiley, what were they doing? As soon as Travis Kelce went down, you see them both running down the field doing this, timeout. They all knew what the situation was. Why? One is better coached than the other. And as far as the quarterbacks who you looked at, because I was like, when I saw them score 13 seconds, I was like, man, that's a lot of time. They got 3 timeouts. Patrick Mahomes is in. So kicking off, I think, was the right thing to do. You give them. Now, defensively, they're the number 1 defense in the NFL. Number 1 defense in the NFL. And I'm with Sean McDermott. I got the number 1 defense in the NFL. There's no way they're going to let Patrick Mahomes drive down the field in 13 seconds and pick up 44 yards in order to get in field goal range. I wouldn't have thought that was possible either. Now, whether they rush 3 or rush 4 or whatever their mentality was, they did whatever they needed to do, whatever the defense dictated, and they ran it. But unfortunately, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and their offensive game plan was completely different, and they were ready, and they went boom, boom, boom. Here you go. Now, on the play to Travis Kelce, I thought it was funny. I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Chiefs went to line up. Buffalo called timeout because the Chiefs made a shift. Patrick Mahomes did altered whatever, and boom, Bills called timeout again to see what they were running. And so Patrick Mahomes said, Travis Kelce came in and said, yo, if they come up in that same set, he goes, I'm going to fake out and then cut right down the middle and you hit me between the two of the linebacker and the corner. And Mahomes like, cool. So what happens, you can see Patrick Mahomes looked straight at him. He looked down and looked back because he pump faked because he was waiting for Travis to turn. Because the first time he got ready to throw it to him, Travis was not looking, so he pumped. And then Travis turned his head and he went zip right there. And then, of course, he runs for another 15 yards clip. Boom, jump up, timeout, 3 seconds. So If you talk about the time management, the pooch kick, whatever, then that first play that they ran for Tyreek went for 20. Okay? So if that went for 20 in 5 seconds, that means they had 5 more seconds to do that. So what would they have done? Boom, hit the man over the middle on the corner, boom, and you got 10 yards, boom, kicked field goal, because they would clearly would have been in Harrison Butker's range. Because he can hit it from 60, 58, 60 easy. So clearly they're in his range. But there's only 2 guys to me that when they got that, and I looked over at Patrick Mahomes, and he's just like, he just popped up, no look on his face, like, warming up, let's go. He wasn't trying to throw the ball down the field. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. He knew exactly what he needed to do. The offense knew exactly what they needed to do. Why? Well coached, well prepared, and it completely showed. And he went boom, 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 game over. And they got the toss. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm so over them talking about the rule change now. Why you want to talk about it now? I didn't hear you talking about it after it happened to Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl. I didn't hear you all griping about it after the Chiefs lost to Brady. Because if you remember that, Brady threw a pick and it was offsides. They get the ball back. He drives them down, scores with 30-something seconds left. And in 20 seconds, he drove, Patrick Mahomes had him down there kicking a field goal with 18 seconds left. And they didn't even try to throw it in the end zone, which I think now, if they had to do it all over again with Patrick Mahomes being who he is now, I think Andy Reid would have gone for it. But back then, he's a rookie. He didn't want to take a chance on him making a mistake. He went ahead, kicked the field goal. They get the hit. They get the towing cost. Of course, boom. And we all knew Tom Brady wasn't gonna get the ball back. He was gonna drive down the field, and that's exactly what he did. So now, Mahomes, the same thing happens. Mahomes gets the ball. He goes to score. And tell me, one of y'all please text me or whatever and tell me which one of y'all would have thought, or which one of y'all thought the game was not over. I'll wait. None of y'all. Everybody, including Bills Nation, knew when the Chiefs got the coin toss, the game was over. They knew it was going to be a walk-off. Everybody knew that. There's no question. So now, all of a sudden, do all these idiots want to change the rules? And it's so funny is after that deal happened to the Chiefs, they lobbied the NFL to change the rules. And the NFL said, we ain't changing nothing. So now it's funny that it's happened to Josh Allen instead of Patrick Mahomes. Are they going to change the rules? Because you remember, happened in Super Bowl. Guess what happened? Tom Brady handled his business. It happened in the AFC Championship game. Guess what? Tom Brady handled his business. Happened again in the divisional playoffs. Patrick Mahomes handled his business. Because I think he and Tom Brady are the only 2 quarterbacks. When I said, if I saw the 13 seconds, either one of them had the ball, I would think, oh, yeah, they can get this done with 3 timeouts. Yeah, I think they can get that done. Those are the only 2 guys I can think of. I don't think 13 seconds, I don't look and go, Josh Allen is going to drive them down the field and get field goal range in 13 seconds. I would not have believed that you could. There's no way in hell you're gonna convince me of that. No, Tom Brady, yes. Patrick Mahomes, yes. Anybody else? Question mark. Now, whether it could have been done, sure. You could get a throw, busted coverage, whatever, yeah. But is my confidence level high? Yeah, no. And a lot of it probably had the fact that the Bills thought the game was over, and they probably let down a little bit. But that being said, NFL, don't change no rules. You didn't change them before. Why you changing them now? You didn't change it for Matt Ryan. You didn't change it for Patrick Mahomes. Now you're going to change it again? No. No, that's not gonna happen. Or it better not happen. The rules are the rules. They're fine the way they are. But I think it's interesting that Tom Brady was responsible for that. And it's weird that Patrick Mahomes is 8-2 in the playoffs. Guess who his only two L's are against? Yeah, that's right. Tom Brady. Anyway, so let's talk about some basketball now. Uh, Two games tonight that are of interest to me. The Bulls come to town against our Thunder tonight, and I apologize to everybody, but not doing the after the storm, after the Thunder game the other night. But it was one of my best friend's 50th birthday. I thought the Thunder game uh, against Cleveland was Sunday, not Saturday, and I may or may not have gotten a little toasted. And then all of a sudden, my phone goes off and says, "Hey, is Thunder about to start?" I'm like, "Oh my God, wait, what?" So my good friend Mike Deba was like, "Hey, bro, you don't want to go on air. You've been drinking." And then I missed almost the whole first half. I get the whole second half, but I missed the first half. So I might do a recap of what happened in the second half because I missed the first half, and I don't ever want to cheat the people who are watching about my analysis and lie to anybody and say, "Hey, da da da," and when I did not see what happened. I mean, I looked at the stats and I could figure out what happened because I've done 17 shows watching the Thunder really closely and doing analysis, so I could pretty much guess what happened, looking at everybody and how much everybody scored and everything. So I could tell what had happened exactly and why we were in the game and only down two. But tonight the Bulls come into town, and of course the Bulls are the number 3 seed in the East. And when I look at that, it's the Heat, the Nets, the Bulls, and the Bucks. And first place is separated by one game. Isn't that crazy? One game is separated them. I thought that was freaking crazy. I think that was amazing. So anyway, they got the one game separating the two. So, but the Bulls are coming to the Thunder tonight, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh well, they're gonna kill him." I was like, I don't know. Thunder seemed to rise to the occasion when we played the top teams. The Suns, they didn't blow us out really. I mean, we stayed with them for a while. Golden State was the same thing. The Grizzlies killed us. We beat them. The Jazz, the game's close. So I don't know if the teams just totally overlook us and don't respect us. So I'm talking about the top teams, and or we just tend to rise to the occasion for that. And it's probably a little bit of both in there, them thinking, this is the Thunder, we're going to kill them. And then also the Thunder realizing that and their manhood's taking over and a little pride. But also they're playing in our house, and we're going to go back, I do believe, to having the best overall facility or the best home court advantage in basketball. I do believe the Thunder fans are going to start coming back and watching the Thunder play because I think that's something we should do. I'm very proud of our team, and I love what we do in that. And also, the Jazz against the Suns. And the Suns are the number 1 seed in the West. Then it's Golden State, the Grizz, and the Jazz. Now, the Jazz are 7 games back from the Suns out of first place, which is funny because for years and years and years, the East sucked. And the West was just loaded with team after team. I mean, the top 6, 7, 8 teams in the West, it was just so tight with who's going to beat who and who's can win, and and it was always 3 or 4 games difference between first and fourth or fifth place. I mean, it was always tight. Now it seems like it's shifted to the East and finally got some players. And it's funny, if you get coaches, you get players. Players want to play with coaches, and that's what you got to have. You got to have the right coach, you got to have the right organization, and you can build yourself up from there. So anyway, the Jazz at the Suns. I think the Suns, who have the best record, they're going to handle their business. Devin Booker has been an absolute tear since his the mascot Murray. Since Ian Toronto's mascot got into it, which I think is funny because you're used to people doing stuff in the background. Like the Thunder has those little air things that they bounce and hit it. So you're so used to seeing it. But in Toronto, nobody's in the games, and they're standing and they're sitting there, and here you have this idiot mascot doing stuff, and Devin's like, "What are you doing, you idiot? What are you doing? Are you serious? This raptor?" And he told him to move, and the referee got him out, and so now he's on the shit list for all the mascots around the NBA. But I think it's funny that he's been on a tear averaging 30 after that. He's like, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do. You gonna talk trash? Okay, bam, this is what you gonna get. And he's been killing them. So the Bulls and the Thunder, I think we're gonna have a good chance to stay close. I don't know if we'll beat them, um, and but it's gonna be a good game, depending on how many Bull players are actually going to suit up tonight. But I think it's going to be a good game, and I think that the Thunder have a chance to win. But I do believe the Bulls are going to give us the L tonight. As far as the Jazz and the Suns are concerned, I don't think that's up for an issue. I'm pretty sure that the Suns are going to take care of the Jazz at home, even though the Jazz have the number one three-point shooting team in the league because they just got a bunch of shooters and they just don't miss. I mean, they just absolutely play crazy. Now, let's talk about the Big 12 coming up tonight. There's a couple good games tonight, so I'm excited about that. And I'll be talking about that because that's going to be, I'm really excited what's going to happen tonight with that. But anyway, for my picks on Friday, I picked, let me see, who was it? West Virginia versus Tech. I had Tech winning that W for the MC. Then I had my boys going against Texas at Texas, and we had beat them. Oklahoma State, of course, we had beat them. You know, it's my just saying orange and black for my Cowboys. Anyway, we beat them at home. Even though I know it's going to be a tough task, I still went with my boys on the road in Texas. Even though we played them a hell of a game, it was a great game. They got us. Baylor versus OU. Of course, I took Baylor, and Baylor beat OU in Norman. And then I took KU over K-State, which of course K-State won. And then I took Iowa State at that place that they play at, which I told y'all I'm not a fan of that place. And so that made me go 3-2 in men's basketball. In women's basketball, of course, West Virginia versus Oklahoma State. I took my girls again, even though I wasn't positive about us getting it done. I still took our girls and got the L there. Texas versus TCU. I picked Texas there and got the W. I took Tech against KU, and I picked Tech. I thought that they would get it done, but that was obviously an idiot pick out of that deal, and that was not my smartest thing I could have did, especially since K-State or KU is one of the top teams. Then I took OU versus K-State, W for me. I said OU would get the job done. Excuse me, it was an L because K-State won that. I took the L there simply because, I took K-State over OU. That's what I did. I picked that, K-State. That, and then Baylor over Iowa State. I took the W there. And, of course, Aoki Lee for K-State was just, can we call a woman a beast? I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if we can do that. We can call guys beasts. I don't know if we can call, but as far as an athlete's performance, she was a beast. And so hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that. And I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I mean that in the most complimentary way that I can say. Because man or woman, when you score 61 and you have 0 threes, you were a monster, you were a beast, whatever. And I mean that in the most complimentary way, just like I would say for a guy that he was a beast. He was an animal. He was just incredible. So I'm using the same terms because, like I always, when I coach my girls, I go, there's no difference between a man and a woman when you step across that line. You're basketball players. So if you think yourself as a girl, when you step across there, then you're going to act like one. You're not going to be tough. You're an athlete. Athletes are athletes. Man or woman is irrelevant. You're an athlete. So if you're going to step across that line, you don't look at yourself as a girl basketball player. You look at yourself as a player, period. You're not a girl basketball player. You're a player. You are a basketball player. So you got to think that way. So when I'm talking about it, I look at the women's basketball game. I look at it like a men's basketball game. So if I'm talking about it, I'm going to talk about a woman the same way I'm going to talk about a man. If you play like crap, I'm going to call you. This is exactly what I do, and I'm not going to change who I am and how I look at things. So that's the way I look at it, and that's the way I took it. So tonight is a huge game. Tech at KU for Monday night, and I love Monday night games, man. I love them, and this is going to be a great game. Tech going to Lawrence to play, and by the way, I want to give my condolences out to the Self family. I love them. I've known them since I was little, and I have nothing but respect for Mr. Self. He was always nice to me from the time I was 10 or 11 years old, 12 years old, wherever I started being somewhat known in the basketball community. He has always been respectful. He has always guided me. He's always gave me advice, and has always been spot on. And of course, I played with his son Bill Jr., who is now the head coach at Kansas University, or the University of Kansas, however you want to say it. Anyway, I say KU. And anyway, he's one of my very good friends. I was fortunate enough to play with him, and I've known Bill since he was young as well. And of course, his granddaughters, they played for me as well. So, and then of course his daughter Shelly, I love her just like my sister. But anyway, I want to give my condolences to the Self family. And by the way, KU, way to go get that win for you, coach. You knew he was hurting. You knew his mind wasn't completely there, and that shows you the level of love and respect his players have, as far as his coaching staff as well, having their coaches back when he knew that his father just passed away and he was just not all there mentally. And his players came up big in order to get it done. So anyway, I want to give a shout out to the Self family and want to let them know that they're loved and they're in my prayers. And like I said, I love that family, and congratulations to the KU family for having his back, because he's an outstanding man. He's an outstanding coach, and he's an outstanding individual, and one of my favorites of all time. But anyway, Tech at KU tonight. I'm picking KU to take care of business at home. Of course, this week it's K-State versus Baylor. Of course, I'm taking Baylor in that game. Then you've got Texas versus TCU. I'm going to take TCU at home in that game. OU versus West Virginia. I'm going to probably take West Virginia because it's hard, man. It's hard to win down there, man. In Morgantown, it's hard to get a W down there. So I'm going to go with the home team. And it seems like a trend. I went KU at home, Baylor at home, TCU at home, West Virginia at home. And then, of course, Iowa State versus Oklahoma State at home. And you know I'm going my ride or die. You know I'm going with my homies, my boys, my Cowboys. We already know. Go Pokes. We already know what that deal is. I'm going with my guys at home. So I'm saying a clean sweep of all the teams who are playing at home tonight, which, of course, hardly ever happens because upsets are left and right, and they happen all the time. But I've got all the home teams winning tonight in basketball. Now, the Big 12 standings, you have KU at 5-1, Baylor at 5-2, Tech at 5-2, and TCU surprisingly at 3-2. And I was like, 3-2? How'd you play so many less games? COVID. Once again, people, wear masks. Take care of yourselves. Hey, and if you're not a player and you're a student, then take care of yourself if you're going to be around the players. Okay? Just because you're an idiot or you're a person, I won't say an idiot, just because you don't believe in COVID or you don't believe whatever, well, it affects him. Whether you believe it or not, it affects that guy, and he doesn't get to play, which means either you can get a loss or he don't get a chance to play, which is something that's one less deal he has on his tape or his resume for him or her, for them to get a chance to go play in the next level. So people, if you're going to be around athletes, then please take care of them and watch out. Even if you don't do it for yourself, do it for them. Okay? Do it for them. On the women's side, when I look at the women's, it's got TCU versus West Virginia tonight. I'm going to take West Virginia at home. Oklahoma State versus OU. Bedlam. I'm going to take OU. Oh, God, that hurt me to say that. Ugh. Has anybody got any Benadryl? I need some Benadryl because saying OU is going to win is giving me the itches. I'm affected by that. I need some help. But anyway, OU, KU versus Iowa State. I'm going to take Iowa State at home since they are the number one in the league. Baylor versus Tech. Um, Man, it's tough. I'm gonna probably do my first road team coming in to get the W. I think I'm gonna take Baylor in that, and K State at Texas. Of course, I'm gonna take. K State is 5-2, Texas is 4-2. Texas is playing at home. Aoki Lee just came out for a 61-point game against OU Saturday, so I'm gonna probably take. Man, I'm just gonna take K State in that game as a if you want to call it an upset. They're playing on the road, Texas at home. So if I have to do something, I'm gonna probably I'm gonna probably go with Texas um, over them. And let me mark that down so that I'll make sure that I'll know who's gonna beat who. Um, So that way I can come back and be able to say, okay, yeah, I picked that game right, or that game wrong. Now, going back to the NFL, as far as this coming weekend, um, I'm going to, it's the Rams, San Francisco versus the Rams, and of course, the Bengals and the Chiefs. So we'll talk about that more later in the week. I need to digest it. Now, if I had to pick just off the cuff right now, without really thinking and digesting it and going into detail, I would probably take the Rams at home to play at SoFi in 2 weeks against the Chiefs, who are playing at home. Because I don't know if the Bengals could beat the Chiefs twice. Patrick Mahomes doesn't necessarily like to lose to teams twice in 1 year. So I'm going to probably take the Chiefs at home. And then the Chiefs having to go to SoFi. Because remember, last year they got beat by Tampa Bay at home because Tampa Bay got to play the Super Bowl in their own house. So they got to do that. Tampa Bay won. And I think the Chiefs are going to have to play the Rams at SoFi. And plus, I would love to be able to go to Snoop Dogg's Super Bowl party. I'm sure that's going to be outrageously crazy. It's going to be a good time. I wish I had one of those invites because that party is going to be off the chain. It's going to be insane. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Unpopular Hour. Like I said, I'm your host, Matt Clark. Hope you tune in again tomorrow. Thanks. Peace out.